The first contact where aliens tried to adopt humans as pets, Dr. Maya. Chen had scoured the universe for proof of intelligent life for 12 years, and days and nights had run into each other within cramped quarters of the control room of the Arecibo Observatory. The coffee had long been cold, and the vivid glow of the screen had been searing into her retinas. She was about to grab the phone to announce another dead night when the signal came. It wasn't the faint whisper most astronomers would have been expecting from deep space. This was a symphony, some complicated patterning of mathematics which made her heart thump. The signal was strong, deliberate, and entirely artificial. Maya's hand trembled as she took the emergency contact list, her mind grappling with trying to understand what she saw. In 6 hours, all the major world leaders had their secret, safe conference call. In 12 hours, Earth's brightest minds were descending on the observatory. In 18 hours, Earth had received its first intentional message from an extraterrestrial species. The translation came much earlier than anticipated. For decades, the aliens, who called themselves the Zanari, had been tuning in to Earth's radio waves. They had learned to speak human language, understood human culture, and came to a unanimous agreement that eliminated all presupposition of the first contact. They saw humans as cute but abused household pets. Commander Zixny materialized within the United Nations General Assembly chamber exactly 72 hours after contact had been established. The Zanari were human but alien, with exceedingly long limbs which seemed to move in improbable ways and faces set with an expression of long-suffering concern. Zixny's tone, as transmitted by advanced translation equipment, had the intonation of one addressing a room full of abandoned puppies. "Greetings, lovely Earth beings," declared Zixny, their clear hands waving wide. "We have been watching your species with ever greater dismay. Your caretakers have failed you calamitously. We find you suffering amidst inhospitable surroundings, reaching desperately for elemental needs, afflicted with diseases you do not have to have, and dying much too young. All of this abandonment ends today." The Secretary General, Harrison Blake, politely cleared his throat. "Commander, we appreciate your concern, but I think there is some misunderstanding about our species and our civilization." Zixny's expression grew more sympathetic. "Of course, you've learned to replicate advanced behavior. Most pet species develop advanced intelligence when forced to survive under unsuitable conditions. Your capacity to use tools and govern society is intimidating, but nothing diminishes the inherent cruelty of your environment." Chief Xenobiologist on the hastily assembled First Contact Group, Dr. Alina Vasquez, sat up. "Commander, humans are the planet's top intelligent species. We've built civilizations, developed technology, created art and writing. We've gone so far as to attempt to reach out to contact you." Zanari Commander's response was one with patient smile. Yes, we've observed these patterns. Most impressive for creatures of your scale and clear limitations. But we've observed your agony as well. Your average lifespan is frightfully short. You are ever concerned with resources. You are frequently packed. Your medical facilities are crude, at best. These are clear signs of neglect and mistreatment. President Sarah Martinez, reaching remotely via a secure vidlink, took quite a different approach. "Commander, we govern ourselves. We draw our own conclusions as to how we wish to live and organize our societies. Just what we would expect of a species which had to take care of itself." Zixny responded with the patience of one instructing basics to a novice. "You've learned survival procedures which mimic autonomy, but this compensatory reaction to abandonment is not necessarily a sign that you are faring well. We've seen the same types of reactions among other species we've salvaged." Dr. James Fitzgerald, the linguist who had been frantically attempting to understand patterns of Zanari communications, had an epiphanous moment. Their concept of intelligence was nothing like humanity's. Zanari were an ancient species who had transcended physical limitations, transcended need, transcended individual conflict. Species who actually concerned themselves with survival needs weren't quite full yet. Commander Fitzgerald spoke slowly. "Just what are you proposing?" Zixnin's entire face brightened. "Rescue, of course. We have beautiful habitats prepared for you throughout the galaxy. Climate-controlled environments, as much to eat as you like, excellent medicine, enrichment activities. You shall never have to concern yourselves with survival once more. You shall be treated properly." The implication fell on the room like a bolt of thunder. They were not offering collaboration or commerce or technology swap. They were offering to take humanity as pets. The days that followed were pandemonium. Emergency sessions of all the great governments of the world. Frantic debates among the scientists, philosophers, and ethicists. The press descended into whirlwind, with all sides covered. Religious leaders debated whether this was God's work or Armageddon-style hubris. Economists sought to calculate the value of an unlimited source. Sociologists pondered what would happen to human society with no need to work and survive. But while there was official panic and philosophical hand-wringing, something remarkable was going on at the grassroots level. They were actually thinking about it. Maria Santos, who had 3 jobs to afford cancer treatment for her daughter, sat up to watch the segment with great interest. "Let me get this straight," she said to her neighbor. "Free healthcare, all you. Can eat roof over your head, and they think we're cute? What's the catch?" In another state, Tom Bradley, a veteran who battled PTSD and homelessness, had a similar reaction. "I've waited to receive proper mental attention for 4 years. These extraterrestrials are offering it on day 1. Being a pet can't be too awful then. The economic expense would be prohibitive." Harvard economist Dr. Amanda Foster did some back-up-the-envelope math and could not believe his eyes. If the Zanari are actually giving everything they claim to give, then they are effectively giving the biggest universal basic package ever conceived. Cash, yes, but housing, medicine, food, education, entertainment, all provided gratis with nothing required in return. The Zanari, meanwhile, were getting more and more dissatisfied with humanity's inability to accept aid. Zixnin returned to the UN with very detailed presentations on their rescue facilities. "Look at these great environments," the commander explained, projecting holographic images of wide parks with comfortable residences, temp-controlled, no adversarial weather, adequate chow, infirmaries with the foremost vets of the galaxy. You'll have playthings, amusement, quarters, and even mating secrecy when you attain appropriate age. "Veterinarians," he queried. "Weak the best in the galaxy," Zix9 affirmed proudly. "They are experts in the care of burgeoning sentience. They will take care of your health, provide you with what you must have, stimulate your minds, and make you live your fullest, happiest lives." The bioethicist, Dr. Margaret Kim, interrupted. "Commander, what would happen to our children, our education, our work and future plans?" Zixnin's face grew perplexed. "Children will be provided for in our nursery facilities, of course. They'll have sufficient to eat and interaction. Regarding careers and aspirations, we do not understand. You will have whatever you need. No work or competition will need to exist." The room fell silent as realities dawned. Not only would the Zanari govern themselves to care for humans, but they would do so to eliminate all the sources of tension, suffering, and uncertainty that comprised human life. The discovery came from an unlikely source. Child psychologist Dr. Lisa Chang had been watching the Zanari patterns of interaction discreetly. She noticed something very significant, both about their style of communications and their method of decision-making. "They are not just promising to do us good," she told the emergency committee. "They are asking for our permission. They have been watching us for decades, but have not acted until now. They are asking permission, not just taking what they want. That would mean they do understand some kind of agency within us, whether or not they understand it. This prompted a revolutionary proposition on Dr. Fitzgerald's part. What if we negotiate? Not quite as equals, one supposes, but as something better than pets. What if we propose a probationary period? The proposal itself was controversial. But as sociologist Dr. David Park observed something remarkable. They're offering solutions to literally all of our big social issues. Poverty, healthcare, housing, education, environmental destruction, even death. What if we could have those advantages and have some form of autonomy? The negotiation went much as nothing ever witnessed in human history. Zanari failed to understand why the humans would want to have responsibilities of any type when they could be completely taken care of. Humans were not able to explain concepts of dignity, purpose, and self-governance to beings who left those concerns behind long ago. The mutually consented solution was one, never undertaken before. The Zanari would have transitional care facilities on Earth, whereby humans would get to experience their care system but with some autonomy. Humans would be able to visit and leave as frequently as they pleased, have their family groups remain intact, and even join in funding the facilities if they so wished. Well, think of it as the ultimate social safety net of the galaxy, explained Dr. Rebecca Torres, original human coordinator of the project. Whatever needs medical attention, food, shelter, or relief from the pressures of a technologically sophisticated society can avail itself. No paperwork, no bureaucracy, no assessment of one's means. Only care. The original facilities became functional 6 months after the first contact. They were masterpieces and technological and architectural. Marvel's climate-controlled perfection worlds with building designs that seemed to conform to human tastes. The medical facilities were being both Zanari veterinarians and human doctors to man. And they integrated the very best of advanced alien medicine and human understanding of the human psyche. Marcus Williams, who once worked as an investment banker, became one of the original humans to ever utilize the full Zanari care system. I had doubts to start, he admitted during his first month. The concept of one being their pet was humiliating. But then I realized something. I had not been actually independent for years. I had been a slave to my mortgage, to my job, to my medical insurance. Here, I actually get to choose what I want to do with my day. The Zanari were satisfied with the bargain, but they could not yet tolerate some human behavioral patterns. Commander. Zix-9 had a special objection to humans who chose to continue working. We do not understand why some of you persist with work, the commander revealed to Dr. Chang on one of their routine meetings. You have everything you need. Why are you persisting with these stressful engagements? Because work, for most humans, brings meaning and purpose, Chang stated. We're not seeking survival, we're seeking fulfillment. This idea took a hold of the Zanari. They themselves had long mechanized all aspects necessary within their society, but they came to understand that humans gain fulfillment within accomplishment and giving. This led to them establishing enrichment programs within the facilities, allowing humans to pursue research, art, education, and other enriching activities. The results were remarkable. Dr. Angela Martinez, who had been studying the outcomes of the program, produced the first comprehensive report 1 year into the initiative. We're seeing dramatic declines in physical and mental illness. Diseases caused by stress have been reduced by 78%. Depression and anxiety are decreased by 65%. But what we're really seeing is increased creativity and innovation. When people aren't worried about survival day to day, they can actually follow their interests. The Zanari's response to this news had been emotional. Zix-9 actually had tears during the briefing. We did not know you could enhance your intrinsic abilities with caring and not diminish them. We thought we were only not causing suffering. We did not think we were actually causing things to grow. The program achieved international expansion. Within 2 years, economic effects were gigantic. Traditional welfare provisions were left dead and buried overnight. Healthcare bills came crashing down as advanced Scifi medical technology eliminated most diseases. Crime rates fell as poverty-driven desperation ended. Educational levels improved as students could focus on studies and not survival. But most surprising of all, probably, was the impact on human relations. Sarah Kim, who had been a social worker and then became a program coordinator, saw a remarkable phenomenon. When people are not constantly concerned with finances, with shelter, with illness, they are kinder, more creative, more observant of each other. We are seeing healthier families, better friendships, more civic engagements. The Scifi, meanwhile, were studying humanity beyond their expectation. They found themselves appreciating that human intelligence was not like their own. While Scifi intelligence concerned transcending physical constraints, human intelligence had much to do with physical experience, emotional bonding, and imagination. Dr. Fitzgerald, who had also become de facto human liaison to the Scifi, attempted an explanation of this variation. You've transcended the need for struggle, but human beings find their sense of purpose in overcoming. You've advanced beyond individual identity, but human beings find their sense of purpose within individual progress and relationships. We are not flawed versions of you. We are unlike you, but being different has value. This led to a complete shift of perception on the part of the Scifi. They ceased to regard humans as pets to be cared for, but as another intelligence to have. Developed, these care facilities turned into universities or research centers, where the humans could explore their potentialities beyond the pressure of survival. The third year presented unexpected challenges. A few humans struggled with the unlimited protection. Dr. Jonathan Hayes, who worked as a psychiatrist there, identified what he called purpose anxiety. Some people do not know what to do with themselves if survival is not on the line, he added. They've had to respond to external demands their entire lives. When there are no demands, they are lost. This had brought about transition counseling, programs to aid humans to adjust to a life free of poverty. Scifi had found themselves interested with the concept. They had never encountered a species which had to learn to be free. The Scifi culture itself changed as well. Contact with human creativity and emotional experience had a waking up kind of impact on their traditional culture. They began to create art again, to learn things about relationships beyond group consciousness, to learn value within individual experience. Commander Zix, 9, who had gotten very invested in the human care program, surprised an audience during a conference with the following statement: "We thought we were saving you from a lesser life. Now we see you, in many respects, as living more richly than we have had for millennia. You feel joy, you feel sorrow, you experience love, you experience loss, you experience discovery, and you experience wonder as we had long forgotten. Maybe this interchange helps us as much, or more, than it helps you." The 5-year anniversary of the program marked a decisive moment. Humanity had not been adopted as pets, but had itself become co-participants in an epic chronicle with post-scarcity existence. The care centers of Scifi had evolved as mutually human alien societies where both species worked together to explore the possibilities of unbounded resources and unbounded time. Dr. Chen, who had picked up the first signal, considered the expedition on the anniversary day. We had expected contact would involve technology transfer or trade treaties. What we learned was what it is to be human when survival is not a constant concern. The effects extended far beyond Earth. The Scifi began to disseminate their results. 2 other races within the Galactic Society. The human experiment established a model on how advanced races could cope with burgeoning species without eradicating their special characteristics. The deepest change came to society itself. With needs provided for, human beings could attend to questions survival imperatives had not had time to set aside. What is the value of life with guaranteed survival? With what ends are we to aim with all subsistence ends met? How do relations act with no external imperatives? The reactions were as diverse as humanity itself. Some of the humans devoted themselves to scientific exploration, reaching remarkable discoveries which had been able to wow even the Zanari. Others turned to art, forging works of beauty which reached beings who had thought themselves beyond appreciations of the beautiful. Still others had families, raising children with total protection and unlimited potential. Above all, humans embarked on exploring their own potential as never before. Dr. Patricia Lee, a neuroscientist who works there, chanced upon an extraordinary discovery. If the brain isn't actively focused on survival threat, then it has enormous ability for creativity, for empathy, and for advanced problem solving. We are watching cognitive processes emerge that we never thought humans possessed. The Zanari were stunned. They had taken as given that human intelligence would have to remain limited to the limitations of human biology. But now they were learning that a lot of what seemed to be limitation actually came from environmental pressure. Its success sent philosophical arguments flying across galaxies. Their ruling council, the Zanari, wrestled with problems they had not considered for thousands of years. If intelligence could not merely be quantified but developed, if potential could not merely be assessed but unlocked, then what did that do to their relationships with other species? The answer came from an unlikely source. 8-year-old Jessica Murphy, who had been brought up within one of the homes, came before the Council of Zanari with a proposal that would upset everything. "You are always attempting to decide if we are intelligent enough to be your friends," she said with candor only children possess. "But this is not the issue. The issue is whether we are diverse enough to have things to learn from each other, which could not have been learned individually by both of us." The Council of Zanari sat in silence for a long while. Then, and for the very first time within their history, they laughed. Its laughter ushered in a new era. Culture centers replaced care facilities. The Zanari understood that intelligence was not a ladder to ascend, but a spectrum to cross. Humans were not failed Zanari, and Zanari were not evolved humans. They were extensions of consciousness, and they had their own value. The economic impacts continued to have force on human society. Outmoded concepts of riches, work, and status became irrelevant. Measures of worth based on contribution, creativity, and personal progress became paramount, not on stockpiles of resources. Economist Dr. Foster, who had originally run the calculations on the program's effects, penned a lengthy account of the shifts. "We are witnessing the very first successful post-scarcity economy in all of human history. When basic needs are met, humans have a tendency to strive for more. We are reaching levels of innovation, art, learning, and community building never before seen." The good fortune wasn't without challenges. Some humans struggled with the adjustment to unlimited protection. Others were troubled with their humanity as they were exposed to so much prosperity. Various groups rejected the program entirely, choosing to have conventional societies. The Zanari accepted these choices, although they themselves were still baffled by them. "We understand some humans as appreciating the regular rhythms of scarce resources," Zixneen explained. "We do not understand why, but we honor their liberty to decide." This respect for human autonomy became the basis of the relationship. The Zanari had once looked on humans as creatures to save, but they had come to look on them as creatures to cooperate with. The 10-year anniversary of contact brought with it a ceremony unthinkable at the beginning. Man and Zanari stood as equals, not only to celebrate the victory of the CARE program, but of the evolution of both species. Dr. Chen, now the Human Zanari Cultural Exchange Program Director, said, "We embarked with fundamental misconceptions about each other," the Zanari thought. of us as helpless pets to be salvaged. We thought of them as snobbish aliens who failed to understand us. Both were false, and both were true. We were beings to be taken care of, and they were beings who failed to understand us. But from the misunderstanding, we created something. Neither species had ever experienced true cooperation beyond the boundaries of evolution. The success of the program had tremendous repercussions throughout the galaxy. Other races came to question their own interactions with rising civilizations. Assisting without domination, caring without superiority, became an interspecies standard. Even the Zanari themselves altered, to the astonishment of others and to their own selves. Exposure to human emotional response, creativity, and individuality had roused aspects of their own selves they had thought long dead and buried. They experienced individual relationships again, produced art, explored individual identity within their group consciousness. Commander Zixneen, who had virtually been, like a friend to most humans, studied the changes. We thought we were old and complete. We thought we had explored all corners of consciousness. But to get to know you, we discovered there are always new ways of being. Attempting to save you from a lesser life, we found there is no lesser life, only other ways of being alive. The practical benefits added up. Human lifespans increased radically with the provision of Zanari medical technology. Mental health became better as survival-based stress vanished. Educational achievements soared as students could concentrate on learning and not survival. Crime rates decreased radically as crimes based on desperation became obsolete. But perhaps the largest evolution came within human relations. Dr. Kim, the child psychologist who had first observed the Zanari respect for human agency, witnessed something marvelous. If individuals aren't constantly worried about day-to-day survival, they have the emotional and mental capacity to relate to each other on a deeper level. We are witnessing healthier families, more compassionate communities, and more meaningful friendships. The children who grew up within the facilities were particularly fascinating to study. They had mental abilities never documented among humans. Dr. Martinez, who had followed their progress, authored revolutionary reports. When children grow up with no shortage of anxiety, with no day-to-day pressure to survive, their brains do things we never thought possible. They are more creative, better able to control their emotions, and have problem-solving ability beyond anything we've ever seen in human development. The Zanari were shocked by these children. They had always believed that human intelligence had been determined by biology. But now, they were learning that much of what they had considered to be limitation had resulted from environmental constriction. The 15th anniversary of contact constituted another milestone. The program had long since overcome the original mission. From an initially misguided endeavor to rescue humanity, Skeetsky, the collaboration had developed as an exemplar of post-scarcity civilization. Species throughout the galaxy were examining the human-Zanari collaboration to understand how two fundamentally dissimilar kinds of consciousness could work with one another with the effectiveness they did. The key, according to Dr. Fitzgerald, was respect for difference. The Zanari stopped trying to make us like them, and we stopped trying to show we were like them. Instead, we came to value what set us each apart. That was when true partnership became feasible. The program's success had great repercussions beyond Earth. The galactic community reconsidered its very method of treating interspecies relationships. Its classical prototype of advanced technological societies dominating secondary ones was changed to one of two-way enrichment. The Council of Zanari issued an official pronouncement that rung. Throughout the galaxy, we learned intelligence is not a ladder to climb, but a garden to cultivate. All species have unique contributions to consciousness. Our work is not to elevate others to where we are, but to let each form of awareness achieve its own potential. This position came to be known as the human doctrine, and on a cosmic level, it revolutionized civilization, hitherto overlooked. or undervalued species were now embraced as viable members of the cosmic community, the Earth. Transformations were equally profound. The pre-existing economy had been fundamentally transformed, its material wants having been taken care of. Humankind could now focus on what mattered to it and on things it cared about. Its reaction was a blossoming of creativity, culture, and exploration that took the technologically advanced Scifi by surprise. The original facilities had been run by Dr. Torres, who said of the transformation, "We learned that humans are much more capable than we ever imagined." When survival is not a question, when basic needs are met, when you take fear of tomorrow away, humans are very, very imaginative, very affectionate, and very capable. The Scifi had learned this lesson, as their own evolution had seemed to them incomplete. Their interaction with humanity presenting them with new possibilities for themselves. They had come to question presupposition regarding consciousness, intelligence, and the nature of existence itself, which had been their own for millennia. Both species' relationship had become perfectly symbiotic. Humans gained Scifi technology and care, and Scifi gained humanity's creativity and emotional release. Both species were evolving together in ways neither could have been individually. Its 20th birthday, the anniversary of the original contact, was celebrated throughout the galaxy. Their alliance had established the benchmark for species cooperation, demonstrating not only could diverse manifestations of consciousness live among each other, but could simultaneously assist each other to increase. Dr. Chen, now 7 decades old, but with his razor-cut wit preserved nonetheless, as a result of Scifi medical breakthroughs, offered the anniversary address. "We thought 20 years ago we were meeting our redeemers. The Scifi thought they were meeting creatures who had to be cared for. We were both correct, but not as we had thought. We all had to be redeemed from our own finitude, our own assumptions, our own fears of what true aliveness is. Our loving one another revealed there is no ideal species, only diverse modes of consciousness, all worthwhile, all necessary." The program had surpassed everybody's wildest dreams. Humanity had not been adopted as pets, but had been signed up as co-participants in the biggest consciousness experiment the galaxy had ever seen. The Scifi had not rescued humanity to a lower form of existence, but had helped liberate human potential to the advantage of both species. Throughout the party, younglings who had grown up within the facilities circulated with Scifi. Younglings, their laughter echoing through halls initially considered to have been designed as rescue facilities, but had evolved to something far more profound. Study rooms for the examination of what it is to live, to exist, to be. The future stretched out before them, full of possibilities neither species could have dreamed of independently. The misunderstanding which had gotten the process underway had proven to be the foundation of another kind of civilization. One founded on not the superiority of one form of consciousness to another, but on the awareness that each form of awareness, each form of experience of being, had something to offer to the cosmic conversation. The alien creatures had tried to abduct human beings as pets, but ended up adopting each other as family members.